Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me know if you guys can hear the sound, if it's coming through or not. Just going to share this with okay, so let me know if you guys can hear this. Okay, so hopefully that should work now. So let me know if you guys can hear the sounds working properly. Yeah. Okay, so this is another Jum'ah, another Friday, another one in the isolation. Okay, so yeah, so can you guys hear the sound working properly? Is it coming through? Yeah, no. Okay, just this. So what did you guys think of the podcasts? Put in the comments what you guys thought of the podcast that we've started. Do you guys enjoy the podcast? Do you guys think it's the right time? Do you guys think we should maybe invite other people? Let me know in the comments, inshallah, what you guys think of the podcasts. And also, what else have I done? The 40 hadith as well. 40 hadith series that I've started. What do you guys think of those? Do you guys think they are beneficial? Do you guys think you guys are learning from them? Because it's a new style, isn't it, of explaining the hadith and using like diagrams, illustrations to show the meaning of the hadith as well. And some of the hadith maybe you've come across before, but maybe you haven't seen it in this kind of light. Sometimes that's what happens is sometimes when you read a hadith or when you read a verse of the Quran, if you don't really have a lot of experience with Quran and hadith, the meaning can be somewhat sort of different from what you think. And I think the hadith science is a very important one, where a lot of people can get confused very easily. Yeah, because lots of hadith are said in context. And because they're said in context, what tends to happen is people begin to misunderstand, misconstrue what was being said, because there's like a story behind it, or there's like some incident behind it, and all of these kind of things require some sort of like background contextualization. So this is why I thought maybe doing these diagrams. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Tirate, mashallah, jazakallah khair for the hat. Yes, so this is a traditional hat that people in the north of Pakistan wear, right, from where I'm from. Yeah, so this is basically like a sack. It's like a kind of sack kind of thing. I don't know what you call it. Yeah, and you kind of roll it up. And today, because it's a bit cold here in the UK, weather is alright. It's not that cold, but it's a bit cold. So yeah. So how are things in Malaysia? How's the weather there, and how's Ramadan there? Are you enjoying the isolation? I guess you guys have isolation as well. You guys have got to stay at home. Yeah, so alhamdulillah. So I mean, the Ramadan. I mean, is the screen too bright? Is it bright enough, or is it too bright? I'm just thinking. No, why is this bright? Yeah. So like I said, so those series, and there's another series I'm thinking about, which is a series of people in the Quran. Right. So I might do that for kids maybe. I think I'm doing it for kids. People in the Quran, like Allah, Adam alayhi salam, and the angels, Iblis, Fir'aun, all these kind of different individuals that I mentioned in the Quran. Maybe do like a short little sort of episodes on each one, and then by the end of it you'll have like 20, 30 different types of individuals that are mentioned in the Quran. And I think that's going to be very useful for a lot of people who are not familiar with the Quran, meaning what's in the Quran. Because a lot of people, I think they read the Quran but they don't understand the stories in the Quran, or maybe they haven't really read all of it. They read parts of it. It's raining cold in Malaysia. I'm really enjoying Ramadan, alhamdulillah. So you guys enjoy the cold? Oh, you guys probably don't get cold that often. Is that the case? So we have cold very frequently. Right? Cold is something which is part and parcel of living in the UK. Getting cold. Some parts of the UK get more cold than others. So yeah. So I was thinking of that series. Maybe that series might be beneficial. And also, what are the series I've started? Okay, so I'm continuing with Zakat 2.0. I think a lot of children are starting to enjoy that. I'm getting feedback that parents are saying their children are enjoying that. So I think that's more of a children's one. And also the what else was it? Or the Tarkib one, yeah. Okay, so Tarkib one, and the letters, ba, and those letters. I think those are the kind of series that I'm focusing on in Ramadan. Right, Quran as well, obviously. Quran is one. But podcast, yeah. So the podcast I was telling you guys about, that's something new. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with podcasts, or maybe I don't know, podcasts are something which interests you, or you enjoy listening to podcasts. But yeah, so I thought for a long time, a lot of you guys have been saying to me, why don't you start a podcast? And the problem was in the past that we actually had three of us. So there's Altaf, there's me, and there's Naveed, three of us. We have planned for about 2 or 3 years now that we're going to start podcasts. But the problem with podcast is that it first of all, you have to get all three people in the same place, and then you have to get the right equipment. So you'd have to get three mics, very good quality mics, and then you'd have to get a room that's padded for sound, and then you'd have to get someone to do all the editing, because there's gonna have to be like 3 cameras, or at least 2 cameras, different shots, and so I think a lot of these things people don't realize in podcasts. There's a lot of effort that goes into them. So a lot of these podcasts that people have, there's a lot of like teamwork that goes into actually designing these podcasts, and editing them, and like taking care of the project. So alhamdulillah, we did try a few times. It didn't really kind of work out for various reasons, but this one alhamdulillah worked. So I think I don't know what you guys think of this series. You guys are the ones that are going to let me know, inshallah, what you guys think. Some of you guys have left feedback and enjoyed it quite a lot. It's a kind of light-hearted. It's not supposed to be question and answers. It's not supposed to be like the live Q&As. It's just supposed to be just discussing things, talking as normal people would, maybe. And the good thing about this is that we can actually bring in people from different parts of the country, or maybe in different parts of the world even, to participate in the podcast as well. So it's like a kind of useful and easy, and we can get opinions of different people as well. So that's why maybe in the coming episodes we'll probably be able to get some other people as well to participate in these podcasts. So you guys let me know, inshallah. Besides that, I mean, so in Ramadan I usually I'm busy in a different way. So usually last year I was working with the National Zakat Foundation, so I was answering a lot of the zakat questions. So it was like getting maybe sometimes 10 calls a day, 15, sometimes 20, sometimes 30 calls a day, answering calls on zakat. And this year, I haven't been doing that this year because I've tried to focus on making videos and providing more content for you guys on this channel. But normally the zakat questions, it was basically like answering people's questions with regards to zakat issues and calculating their zakat as well. It was those kind of things basically. So in the beginning, I think it helped me a lot because answering zakat questions gave me an insight into the reality of zakat, as in how in the real world people are faced with situations. Because sometimes when you study the fiqh books, what tends to happen is you're only exposed to classical theoretical understanding of zakat. So case studies in the past, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, of case studies of how zakat works. And then when you come to the real world and you have to kind of like face situations where you have issues about zakat, that's when like stocks and shares, or for example like someone's got some sort of like a business and they've got inventory, or someone's owed money, or someone's got like cryptocurrency or renting property and all these kind of things. That's when it gets a bit complicated. Sad, you look tired. Do take some rest. Yes, Jazakallah khair. I've taken a lot of rest, alhamdulillah. I think I need to take less rest in Ramadan. I've been taking a bit too much rest. Yahya, is there zakat calculator available? I think National Zakat Foundation has a zakat calculator on their website. So if you check on their website, they've actually got, you can actually find out and ask about zakat questions on their website. They do have that sort of like facility that you can actually get your zakat worked out. So that's the good thing about National Zakat Foundation. But yeah, so that's basically what I was doing last year and the year before that. I think it was 3 years, maybe 3 years. Yeah, I think 3 years I was working with National Zakat Foundation, and it's good. It's good experience, I think, especially students who finish Alimiya courses, getting into the real world and working with real masail. I think it's a very good experience. Gives you a deeper understanding of how things work, rather than just answering questions based upon like theoretical of how you've been taught. So you get the best of both. Yeah, the best of both, inshallah. Anyway, how's everything else been with everyone else? Has everyone else been doing with their Ramadans, with their fasts? What time does your fast close? As in iftar. What time's iftar where you guys are? So in the UK, yesterday I think it was about 8:35ish in the evening, and the fast started. Well, the one that I follow, the fast started about 4 o'clock. So 4 till 8 basically. How many hours is that? That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. About 16 and a half hours. 16 hours? Yeah, 16 and a half. Maybe 17 hours. Yeah. So that's basically that's basically the over here. I don't know where you guys are, what the fast is like over there. 7:20 in Malaysia, yeah. So what time does it start then? What time does the suhoor finish? I'm in Sydney. For us, it's roughly 12.5 hours. Ooh, 12.5 hours. That's excellent. That is. Yeah, you guys might come there next time. I think. See how you guys. 12.5 hours. Very good. Yes, Dilshad Ali. I have a problem. Yes. What is your problem? Harun films. All I know is it starts too early and opens too late. Oh, so you're one of those ones that you don't really kind of keep a check. You just eat at night time and then you just eat at night time again. Starts at 5:52. 5:52. That's excellent. That is. So that's roughly okay. So yeah. So Sydney is obviously below Malaysia. So therefore, yeah, your short fast is going to be. Okay. So that's good. Alhamdulillah. Different types of fasts. I think the shortest fast is Sydney. The shortest fast. I think the shortest fast is Sydney, isn't it? Yeah, I think I haven't seen anywhere that's less than 12 hours. Because I remember in the UK, in the winter in the UK, like in our winter, fast goes down to about I think it starts roughly around about 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7, about 7, and then iftar is about 4. So how many hours is that? 10 hours? Is that 9, 10 hours? Yeah, imagine that 9 or 10 hours that is. Yeah, 9 or 10 hours in the winter in the UK. Come down to the UK. Next major. I don't know how to say that name. I think the X you don't pronounce it. In Germany is same as iftar is at 8:38. 8:38. Yeah. So Germany and the UK similar times. And what time what time is suhoor in Germany? Nurul 10:17 Indonesia. Whoa, 10:17 p.m. That is late. That is. I'm not gonna come there. At 10:17 p.m. Ajib. Alim. Assalamu alaikum, brother. I'm from Trinidad and right now it's 10 to 7. 10 to 17 a.m. Oh, right. I'd say right now it's 10:17 a.m. Okay, yeah. So you guys are behind us. Trinidad is behind us. I like how you carry out your classes. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Trinidad. I actually had a lot of friends from Trinidad when I was studying in Pakistan. I had quite a few friends from Trinidad. There was a guy called Nazim. Yeah, he's probably Maulana there now. Maulana Nazim. We had a guy called Sultan Khan, and we had quite a few more as well. Yeah. Sufyan, assalamu alaikum, assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sufyan, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. How's things in the US? What times do you guys do iftar in the US and suhoor? Dilshad said, wherever I sleep, I have dreams of the devil. Lots of people have dreams of the devil. So it's probably I don't know, maybe just before you go to sleep, do wudu or something, read Ayatul Kursi, inshallah. Okay, so suhoor is at 4:13. So similar to us then. Yeah, 4:13, similar to us. Alhamdulillah. So I think that those times are okay. So maybe I can come to Germany. Germany is a good place to come for Ramadan maybe next time. Yeah, so different people around the world. Okay, that's one question. What time is your suhoor, and what time is your iftar, and what time is what do you eat for normally? What do you eat for suhoor and iftar? What do you eat? And you guys all know I eat porridge for suhoor, and for iftar depending on what there is. Like for example, yesterday I had lamb with roti. Sufyan, are we allowed to pray Taraweeh in rakats of 4 instead of 2? Yes, you can. If so, is it makruh to pray in 4s over 2s, and do we have to sit in tashahhud after 2? Yeah, so you can pray. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah allows praying in 2s. You can pray in 2s and 4s. And Sahibain, they say it's preferred to pray in 2s. And you have to sit down. So after every 2, just like you'd normally pray like a 4 rakats of sunnah or something, and you sit after the 2. So you sit down, do at-tahiyyat, and then stand up and pray 3 and 4. Chasing supercars, your opinion. Where is Allah? She said in the heaven. He asked her. I don't understand. Set her free, for she is a believer. Okay. Why not? But weather too cold here. Yeah, Germany is a bit cold, isn't it? Forget that then. Forget that. Nurul, Indonesia. Comfort to Sheikh. Please come to our country, inshallah. I had friends from Indonesia as well when we were in madrasa. Quite a lot of friends from Indonesia. Yeah, so maybe do like a tour or something. What do you guys think? One day, inshallah, do a tour. I can go around, maybe go to Germany, fly from Germany to, what's the next one? To Malaysia, then to Indonesia, then to Sydney. Yeah, everyone get your iftars and suhoors ready. I'm coming down. Tahmeed, mashallah, suhoor. I think you mean Fotabala. That's the way, bro. I'm coming down to your house, yeah? Make sure you have the suhoor ready. Alhamdulillah, Bilal, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Sufyan, you're welcome. Nishad, my sister will ask how many times the girls should bathe in the sun so that it gets sparked. I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying. Harun Films, a question. Someone who is currently questioning a lot of different things, and one of those questions is, will all non-Muslims go to hell even if they were devout Christians and didn't do any bad? Okay, so this is a good question. This is the kind of question we don't know the answer to, as in we don't 100% know the answer, as in it's to do with the judgment of Allah. So Allah will judge everyone on the day of judgment according to His own judgment, and Allah has told us obviously the one who dies upon, like in the Quran Allah says, "Matu wa hum kuffar," those who die and they are in the state of kufr, as in they rejectors of faith. Then this is their outcome. But that the whole thing is, who does this ayah apply to? Like, we know it applies to Fir'aun, and we know it applies to Abu Lahab, right? And we know Iblis. So these are like the three guys that we know definitely. But then to say to apply it to other people, we can't do that. So this is why we don't kind of say this person's going Jahannam or this person's going Jannah. It's up to Allah at the end of the day. We try our best. Yeah. So those who are asking this question, I think it's more of those kind of questions where I think a lot of Muslims, they sort of like feel in a sort of like a dilemma, as in they want to sort of like be kind and gentle and sympathetic to non-Muslims, especially the ones that are doing very good and haven't hurt anyone and don't do any sort of like offenses. But at the same time, they want to try to understand their religion as well, as in how does their religion explain the concept of having to believe in Allah, and those who do shirk, Allah will not forgive them. So this is where the believers throughout history have had this kind of struggle as to where do you balance this now. So we know that the Quran is saying clear verses that those who do shirk and those who die rejecting faith, they will go Jahannam. And at the same time, we know that in the Quran you're allowed to marry a Christian woman, you're allowed to marry a Jewish woman. So it's like, then if you're allowed to marry them, but then does that mean they're going Jahannam? How does that work? So like I said, Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, he says that this is something which is based upon has the true message of Islam reached a person that they have no excuse to reject. So not just you read a Quran ayah to them and they accept it or they reject it. It's like, has a convincing argument been given to them? So the convincing argument is the thing. That's why when prophets used to be sent, every prophet that was sent with a convincing argument. Yeah, so it was the convincing argument that they were sent with. So this is why it's like there was been so many people on the day of judgment who the argument would have reached. Right, these are going to be known as the Ahl Fatra. They call them Ahl Fatra. So yeah. Anyway, it's just frozen for some reason. Let me just check here. Okay, so questions are frozen here. So Arlene, yes, brother Sultan and myself are very good friends. Can you help me read Quran one-on-one sometime? I'm just learning this deen. Alhamdulillah. I mean, sadly, I don't really have time at the moment to be able to give one-to-one lessons. So one-to-one lessons, I literally have hardly any time to dedicate for that. But what I would suggest is there's lots of people online who, if you look for ask anyone on social media, Facebook, there'll be lots of people who offer services of teaching online. Yeah, lots and lots of people. Okay. Nurul, inshallah. Okay. I have to turn my head here because for some reason the internet on the iPad has stopped. And let me just try to change this. Okay, it's back. Alhamdulillah. Alright. So, Australia, best weather. Australia depends, isn't it? I mean, which part of Australia is the best weather? Which part of Australia? Tirate, welcome to Malaysia. Ahlan wa sahlan, jazakallah khair. Next, we are eating suhoor food with always vegetables like cucumber and tomatoes. Iftar, we break with dates, fruits like melons and grapes and ananas. Okay, mashallah, alhamdulillah, sounds tasty, that does. Making me hungry as well. And Noor is saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to sleep now because it's midnight here. Sheikh, hope I can rewatch this. Sorry to poor English. No problem, no problem. You have a rest, you sleep. Dilshad, whenever I sit to prepare for this competitive exam, sometimes dirty thoughts come to my mind and I cannot read. Okay. Sheikh, what is the correct method of sajda to sahu? So the method of sajda to sahu, there's two methods of sajda sahu, right? So one is basically what you do is when you finish the at-tahiyyat, right? So at-tahiyyat lahu wa salatu wa tayyibat, assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillah salihin. So once you finish this, then what you do is you give one salam to your right, and then you do two sajdas, and then you read the whole thing again. So at-tahiyyatullahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat, you do the whole thing. That's one way. And the other way is what you do is you read your whole at-tahiyyat, at-tahiyyatullahi wa salatu wa tayyibat, and then you send salutation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad, and then you read a dua like Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana, and just before you're going to finish, you don't give salam, you do two sajdas, yeah, and then you get up and then you just say assalamu alaikum. These are two methods of doing sajda, the sahu. Yeah, two methods. And both are fine. According to Hanafis, the first one's more preferred. And according to Shafis, the second one's more preferred. So these are the two sort of like methods that have been like mentioned there. Okay, let's check out some more here. Okay, so next question. Said is saying, can you do a lecture on Surah Tawbah? Inshallah, in the future, I'm slowly going through the Quran. So hopefully, inshallah, when I get to Surah Tawbah, inshallah, I'll be covering Surah Tawbah, inshallah. Yeah, so watch the Quran series that I have at the moment. So I've got the translation series, I've got the Quran series, and also the reflections. So far we've done reflections of Surah Ankabut, we've done reflections of Surah Rum at the moment, right? And I've also done sections of Surah Yusuf as well, explain the grammatical significance of this surah and brief meaning as well. Knowledge is light. Productions. Any Islamic history books in Arabic you would recommend? Islamic history books in Arabic? Yes. I mean, if you want the kind of like really kind of technical books, then Tariq al-Islam, yeah, by al-Dhahabi, and Tariq al-Muluk by Tabari. These are the two sort of like classical ones. And then you've got like works, Tabaqat ibn Sa'd, right? That's like a very classical work as well. These are like the early years. And then you got Tariq al-Madina, Tariq al-Dimashq by Ibn Asakir. Then you got Tariq al-Baghdad. And then you got like Sir A'lam Nubala, which is Tariq but scattered. So there's various different types of Tariq books out there. I mean, the easiest thing to do would be just if you go into Google and you just write down, like in Arabic, whatever sort of like area and history you're looking for. One of the good books that I've actually read, and it kind of like gives you like an overview of, is a book called Al-Fiqh al-Sami. Yeah, Al-Fiqh al-Sami. So Al-Fiqh al-Sami by Al-Hajawi. It's a good book. It's about 4 volumes, and it kind of nicely goes through the history of fiqh, right, and the 4 madhabs, and it also gives you like in every century, so like the main sort of points of historical importance. Abdullah Bilal, what is the hukm of tasting while fasting? I've heard some scholars say that it's allowed on the condition the woman. Yeah, so tasting basically means you don't swallow it. So you put it on your tongue and you have that taste in your mouth, but there's nothing swallowed, right? As in, there's no like bits that you're actually swallowing down your throat. So then you taste in your mouth and you can spit it out. Maybe wash your mouth out. That's permissible. So that would be permissible in a situation where, for example, like someone's cooking food, and if they don't know what the taste of the food is going to affect everyone else. So yeah, there's permissibility for that. You can do that. Wa alaikum assalam, Es Hussein. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Marhaban. Usama, what's your take on the Deobandi and Barelvi divide in India back region? The Deobandi and Barelvi divide, I think, see what tends to happen is both Deobandi, let's look at the commonalities. Both Deobandi and Barelvis, they affiliate themselves with the Hanafi fiqh, and they both generally affiliate themselves with the same sort of classical understandings of Aqidah, in the sense that they're like Aqidah Tahawiyya and Fiqh al-Akbar, and then the Ilm al-Kalam, and the books that they study are almost the same as well, right? So in the Arabic, in the Hadith, in the Fiqh, in the Tafsirs, so there's no real difference in that sense. The difference sort of arises when it comes to certain points, and this is not according to all Deobandis and all Barelvis. There are just certain, like you can say, certain like issues which are peripheral issues. They're not even like main fundamental issues. But I think the biggest problem is that in each camp you have certain individuals who like to make a point of something. So you get some Deobandis who just like to make a point that the Barelvis are wrong, and you get these certain elements in the Barelvi community who like to prove that Deobandis are wrong, and they just at each other all the time. So I think that's the one that a lot of people see on social media, right? You see these small little groups who are attacking each other all the time, and then unfortunately it gives a bad image to everyone else. So then the onlooker spectators, like imagine a football match, all the spectators, they just assume Deobandis and Barelvis can't live with each other, right? Which is totally wrong, which I think is it's a misrepresentation of the reality of things. And unfortunately that's what happens. You get this just a few individuals that are just spoiling it for everyone else. And I think I have friends from Deobandi. I've studied by mostly Deobandi scholars, and I have some from Barelvi inclination, and I have friends from both camps. I have students from both camps, so I have no issue with Deobandi or Barelvi, no issue at all. What I have an issue with is when people want to bring like certain baggage from Indo-Pak or into the UK, and they just want to cause like rift between the two communities. Okay, Sufyan, I had a long zakat question with different scenarios. I emailed it to Learning Deen email. Apologies if it was a wrong place to ask. Can't type it on here with restricted characters. Okay, I'll have a look, inshallah. I'll have a look. Unknown error. Istighat is a major problem from the Barelvis. The amount of bid'ah they do, takfir. Another which they, as Imam, made takfir on Deobandis. Yeah, so like I said, it's only a few of them. It's only a few of them that do this. Next, Mufti, I have a question. It's about family relationship. If you don't mind, my name is Albanian. You can say Mina. Okay, so Mina, yes, you can ask your question. Omar Zaman, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Hope you're well. What does Al-Fiqh al-Hanafi, the book behind you, cover, and who is it written by? So there's two Fiqh al-Hanafis. There's Al-Fiqh al-Hanafi, this one, the one that kind of black and gold, and this one, just two books after, in the red one. That one, so the one in the black and gold is like a very detailed one. I would advise anyone who actually wants to kind of have a really easy read of Hanafi madhab and who's read some books before, to that book. Yeah, so it's called Fiqh al-Hanafi fi Thawbihi al-Jadid, 5 volumes. And if someone wants like a Quduri level, like in between Quduri and Hidayah, then I would suggest the red one. Yeah, the red one's good for that. It's like an intermediate kind of one. But the Fiqh Hanafi Thawb al-Jadid, black one, that's more for someone who is more advanced, and he kind of like brings lots of like positions of later Hanafis in there, like Ibn Abidin and others as well. So it's a really comprehensive, you can say. And sometimes I actually read that sometimes when I get stuck on a masala, and I want to see what his view on the masala is. Helps a lot. Okay. And so the black one is written by Abdul Hamid Tahmaz, and the red one is written by As'ad Saghurji, Sheikh As'ad Saghurji. Kamran, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Knowledge is light. Any good books regarding the biography of Imam Ghazali? Yes. So if you want like a very brief one, there's actually this series that you can get. There's a series. I can't remember the name of the author, but if I find it, I'll send a picture of it. So there he's like a very comprehensive sort of like historical analysis of Imam Ghazali and his era before he did his whole like disappearing act, and after that when he came back and wrote the Ihya Ulumuddin. So it's whole sort of like comprehensive. And if you want a more shorter, a nicer, easier read, then you can read Sheikh Ramadan al-Bhuti. Right, in his book, he has a book called Ashkhasun, I think it's called Istawqafatni, something like that. Ashkhas Istawqafatni. Yeah, so in there he's mentioned certain individuals that really had an impact on him, and he gives like a brief history of Imam Ghazali. He talks about some like i'tiradat, objections that were raised. Okay. Would you recommend memorizing a Hanafi matan for student of knowledge like Quduri? I mean, it depends. This whole thing about memorizing, I think the idea that this kind of like memorization is good, but only if you are not going to become a specialist in that field. So I would say like Quduri is a good text to memorize. If you can memorize it, I mean, I tried to memorize it. I did about like a tenth of it, or maybe like I don't know, maybe more than like 2/10 of it, memorized it, but then I forgot it because I had to keep going over it and I just didn't have time. And then so I would say is if you're going to become a specialist in a specific area, you don't need to memorize it, that science. But if you're not, then I would suggest try to memorize. If you can't memorize it, what I tend to do is I try to rewrite something in like images, like illustrations, and that way it sticks in my head. That I think it's better than memorizing text. Because memorizing text, I think, if you're going to memorize something and forget it, you're wasting your time with that memorization. So if you don't have a good memory, I wouldn't spend my time. I'd try to look for a way that would be easier for me. Maybe like make flashcards for yourself, or maybe you can make just mind charts, or I don't know, something else. Yeah. I completed the entire Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk and Qass Nabiyyin lil-Atfal. I've almost done Qira'at al-Rashida based on your previous recommendation. What would you recommend next? So next, I think you got a choice. What do you want to do? Like, what's your aim? At the end of it, what's your aim? What do you want to kind of like your journey to go towards? Do you want to go more towards studying in the future Islamic sciences like fiqh and aqeedah and stuff like that? Or do you want to go more into kind of just Arabic literature? Or it depends what you want to do. So let me know what you want to do. Sheikh, have you been on WhatsApp? Happened to Montaj Jamil? No, I haven't. I don't know what's been happening to him. Ayman Ali, wa alaikum assalam. Can you guide about Ahkam al-Sultaniyya from Hanafi fiqh resembling Imam al-Juwayni? I need to learn Hanafi stance of the issues discussed by Imam Juwayni. So, Ahkam Sultaniyya, I mean, Hanafis don't really have an Ahkam Sultaniyya. Yeah. So I know Imam Qushayri has, Ahkam Sultaniyya. What you would need to do is probably, if you want to look at someone responding to someone like Al-Juwayni, you're going to have to look at someone like maybe Kasani, Badai Sanai Kasani. Yeah. So in there, the sections on like the administration or running a government, maybe you look in something like that. Yeah, you'll find some sections there. Bahr al-Raiq, So Hanafi books that are written later on, from the 500s, 600s onwards, 600s and onwards. That's what I would suggest. So it depends what kind of issues you're referring to, exactly which issues. But those are the books you're going to find, because Juwayni actually comes in, if you're talking about Ghazali's teacher, Imam al-Haramain, he comes in the 400s, the late 400s, and his father, who's also Juwayni, came in the early 400s. Okay, so Ibn Shu'aib, do you have to pay zakat on currency collection? So if the currency is in circulation, if it has value, as in circulation value, it can be used in the shops or banks, then yes. Otherwise, no. Unless you bought the currency, like if you bought like ancient currency with the intention of resale, then it becomes all of it has to be, zakat has to be given on the value of it. Kamran, was Imam Hassan al-Basri Hanafi? No, Hassan al-Basri came before the Hanafi madhab sort of took shape. So Hassan al-Basri, he died roughly, I think it was at 115. Abu Hanifa died in 150. Yeah, so you got like about 30 years there. So he wasn't. Next, okay, Mina. What if a family member take money from you and give promise he pay you back, but he doesn't, and it's a lot of money, and you are in need? How you handle the situation best way, especially when it's near family members? Yes, unfortunately, this kind of thing happens. What I would suggest is maybe get someone else involved. Ideally, whenever you ever give money to someone, one thing I've learnt is always get it written down. Have a receipt and money that you've given to someone, get them to sign it, you sign it, even though it might sound a bit mundane, but it helps you out later on. And that's what the Quran also says as well, that when you have any sort of a loan or a debt, always write it down. That's the first thing. And the second thing is try to get someone else involved who can become an intermediary, and they can speak, inshallah. That's the best thing. I don't know the situation exactly, but that's the thing you're going to have to think about. It's more about an idea of how you're going to sort of like reconcile the situation. Umar Zaman, Jazakallah, Alhamdulillah, I've managed to find a PDF al-Fiqh al-Hanafi Thawb al-Jadid. Yes, yeah, I think someone had uploaded it. Alhamdulillah. Abdul Hakam Baba, Assalamu alaikum. Bless you for imparting Islamic knowledge. Are you the same person who is providing al-Ajurumiyya? Yes, I'm the same person who has done the Ajurumiyya, alhamdulillah. Umar Zaman, hopefully after lockdown I can invest in a hard copy. Yeah, definitely. It's a very, very useful to have this book. Zahid Malik, are there any Hanafi books which have a majority of Mufta Bihi opinions? Yes. I mean, if you like the one that got the back, yeah, Al-Fiqh al-Hanafi Thawb al-Jadid, that's like a very good one for that. Yeah, in that sense. So it's like, yeah, so you don't get all the Mufta Bihi positions. You get like Hanafis who are given preference to one opinion over the other. So that's why in this book he differs with some of the opinions of other scholars. So on some of the things in this book he differs. So you are going to get that issue, because at the end of the day he's like a mufti, he is, and he is compiling his fiqh according to what he understands as being the Mufta Bihi of his time. And then you can get like you can get other books that have been written by people. I mean, things like Badai Sana is a good book, but the problem is it's not for everyone. So someone who's at least done something like Hidayah, at least I would say. Okay, Arlene Muhammad, I have a question on menses. If a woman has a period that goes on for more than 15 days, which is more than the normal 7 days, can she fast after how many days? So this question would require some background. So I mean, for example, like to answer this question, I would need to know what is the woman's menstrual cycle in the past 2 months, right? And then from there you can work it out. So normally, according to the Hanafi fiqh, if bleeding exceeds 10 days, then whatever's beyond 10 days cannot be menstruation, right? You can't, according to Hanafis, you can't have menstruation more than 10 days. And between each 2 menstrual cycles, you have to have a gap of no bleeding of 15 days or more. Right, so that's like the two main sort of like things the Hanafis mention. So 15 days is actually a position of the Shafis. They say 15 days, but it's 10 days according to the Hanafis. But like I said, these kind of questions would require understanding what was the cycle of the woman in the last month and what was the cycle before that month. And that way you can work out as in which days are considered to be the menstruation and which days are not. So at the moment, alhamdulillah, the app that I told you guys about, if you remember, we're working on an app. Well, we're not working on the app, but we're kind of like making it into a website, so a web page. And on there, women will be able to work out their menstruation. So alhamdulillah, one of my students, he's actually kind of, kindly put all the effort in, making all the programming for the program, I guess you call it, itself. So hopefully make dua, guys, inshallah. If it gets done, hopefully, then in a few months we should have an up and running at least website, and then later on maybe we can think about making an app after that. So first of all, we start with the web page. People can test and try, and all the mistakes and problems in the errors can be fixed. And then once it's kind of like tweaked and we're happy with it, we can make it into an app. And then it will just be a very simple matter of a woman putting in her date of bleeding and when the bleeding stops, and it'll tell her whether she needs to, fast or not. Okay, so Kamran, was Tablighi Jamaat something which started in Deoband? So it was started by individuals who had affiliation with Deoband. So it wasn't started in Deoband itself. So it was like someone who studied in Deoband. They kind of like just started it off, Maulana Ilyas. And that's why it's kind of like taken off. It's kind of taken off as a Deobandi movement, although it's not a Deobandi movement. But like HMC, for instance, HMC was started off by Deobandi, initial founders. So it's not to say that HMC is Deobandi. Okay, which fatwa books would you recommend for student knowledge to start with? I would say something like it all depends what students understand from fatwa books. So Ibn Abidin is the main one that students need to understand. Ibn Abidin, Radd al-Muhtar, this is the main one. And then before that you have other, like for example Fatawa Tatarkhaniya, Fatawa Qadi Khan, Fatawa Bazaziya, and then you have Nawazil Samarkandi. So these are like, and then Ikhtiyar is actually Mukhtar al-Fatawa. Okay, Said, what is your opinion on Sufi Turuq, especially Ibn Arabi? So I haven't really kind of looked into Ibn Arabi. I'm not really too familiar with Ibn Arabi. But Sufi Turuqs, again, I personally, my position on them is that I see them as something beneficial for many people, and for many people I don't think they're beneficial. It's something which is more of a trying to make someone more punctual in their ibadat, right? So it's like a kind of like a big brother mentor kind of thing, where you have a affiliation, the soul affiliation with someone, and then you kind of you feel you have to kind of stick to this routine they give you, and that routine, it helps you, motivates you in continuing to try and get close to Allah. And it doesn't work for everyone. For some people it doesn't work. So I think that's what I think on it. Sufyan, have you considered starting a Roots of Knowledge Telegram group? Okay, how would that work then? What would that just be for updates? For updates, yeah? Or would there be anything else on there? Ayman Ali, when there is a difference of opinion among jurists, we go for opinion of the madhab as mentioned in Matan. But when the difference is mentioned in Matan, what do you do? Which opinion do we follow? So this is a good question you've asked. It's actually a bit more detailed than that. The Matan is supposed to be like the best representation of the madhab, unless it conflicts with the Zahir riwayah. Alright, so this is something else. So for example, Quduri, if it conflicts with Zahir riwayah, then in that case many of the scholars, they leave what Quduri says and take what Zahir riwayah, like Imam Hidayah does that very often. So that's the first thing. So Matan is not always representative of fully of the madhab. It's hukm al-akthari, they say. And when it comes to differences in the matan, then you look at the tarjih that the later Hanafis have done. So the tarjih of later Hanafis, so sometimes the matan itself might have already given tarjih to one of the opinions. So Imam Quduri does this himself. He gives tarjih sometimes to Abu Yusuf's opinion, sometimes to Imam Muhammad's opinion. So it depends. But what you have to look for is later books that have come after that. What have they given tarjih of? So this is called the tarjih of the mashayikh. Kamran, if you have two houses, one you live in and the other on rent, will you have to pay zakat on the house? No, you don't have to. No. Yahya, my aim, total proficient in reading, so I can move to Islamic sciences and be confident I will not make errors in reading interpretation. I have almost completed Mukhtar al-Fatawa with the teacher. Oh, that's excellent. So then, okay, for you, I would suggest is Mukhtarat by Nadawi. Mukhtarat. He's got two Mukhtarat fi Nathar or Mukhtarat fi Nadam Shi'r. Both are very good. So do Mukhtarat, I would say. Mukhtarat is going to be very useful for you. And you can actually even, on your own, I would say on your own, you can start reading Ali Tantawi's books. Ali Tantawi, Kamil Kailani, Ahmad Shawqi, Mustafa Rafi'i, Mustafa Saba'i, Ahmad Amin. These are all names of famous Egyptian sort of writers and Syrian writers who are very, very good. As in the Arabic, you're going to learn a lot from the Arabic. It's going to be sort of like self sort of like in a way you're benefiting from the Arabic, and also it's kind of giving you a broader understanding of ideas as well in the Arab world. Kamran, other than gold, are there any things in our day-to-day life we should pay zakat for? Yeah, so if you watch my, I don't think you watched my crash course. So what I would suggest is watch my crash course on zakat. Yeah, so crash course on zakat. If you go to my YouTube channel, or maybe someone can find it and paste it here in the comments. So you go to my YouTube channel, it's in the playlist on crash courses, and or you just type in crash course for zakat and liaqat zaman, and it should come up on YouTube. And watch that. It's about 45 minutes or so, and I've done a lot of detail in explaining about the idea of zakat and what kind of things you give zakat in. So there's 5 normal wealths that you give. So I've explained it there. Okay, Mina, yes, I know. I regret too when I read the Quran that I should write down. Then when I gave money, some I would like to explain more because I not find a way out. Yeah, so I mean the best thing for you to do is you should get someone else involved. Get like a family member or a friend or someone who can speak to that person and get them involved. I think that's the main sort of thing that you need to do. You don't, I mean, I don't know, if you see, because it's not really kind of written down, you can't go to authorities as well. But normally that's how it would be solved. London, what should a menstruating woman do if she recited the Quran with sajda tilawah? Then no. She doesn't do sajda tilawah. So menstruating woman, first of all, is not allowed to read the Quran, and if she hears a verse of the Quran of sajda tilawah, she doesn't have to do it because she's in a state where she's actually exempted from the rules of sajda tilawah. Arlene, how can I explain privately about menstruation? So if you email this email on the bottom, yeah, email the email and explain it there, and either I will answer it or someone else will answer, inshallah. Okay, Zaid Malik, what is your opinion regarding head movement whilst doing dhikr? So head movements, body movements, all of these things are not proven from the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ. We know that. These are things that were introduced later on as forms of ways of increasing the intensity of the dhikr, right? So it was like kind of like an exercise movement, right? It's more of an exercise movement to sort of enhance the feeling of the dhikr rather than it being something from the Quran or from the hadith itself. So it's fine. I mean, I personally don't agree with it. I don't. I mean, the reason I say I don't agree with it is I don't really find it something to be. It's not the aim of the dhikr. Dhikr's aim is to make you more aware of Allah. The feeling that you get inside, that buzz. I don't believe the buzz is intended, because Buddhists feel a buzz when they do their meditation, and Christians feel a buzz. So this buzz feeling, I think it's just a natural human reaction to something which is melodious and rhythmic. If you do anything rhythmic or anything melodious, right? You get a buzz, a natural, it's like internal, nice euphoric feeling inside. And that's the state that the Buddhists actually have, a state they go into when they do like a certain amount of exercise. They call it the nirvana state. Like it's like the highest state, where it literally means that you see yourself as nothing. You see your body as nothing at all. It's like it just like disappears into the universe. And they say this is like the highest state they go into. So a lot of these kind of things, I think historically, is Muslims, when they became Muslim from other faiths, some of these things were introduced, I think, were brought in for this kind of experience they wanted to feel. Shaqim, how is your Ramadan going? Alhamdulillah, Shaqim, very nice, mashallah, very good, Alhamdulillah. By the way, Kati has been quite ill, so make dua for Kati. Kati hasn't been eating properly for the past few days. She's lost a lot of weight as well. She started eating again yesterday, I think, yeah. But yeah, she's quite ill, so make dua for Kati. You guys all know Kati. Hassan, I don't understand Arabic. Should I still read the Quran Arabic? Yes, definitely. See, the thing with reciting the Quran, there is benefit because the Quran is the word of Allah, Kalamullah. There is benefiting in reading Quran in every way. So, I mean, a lot of people, especially when you're living in the West, you want to understand things. Like, you do things because there's a mental sort of satisfaction in there. And as Muslims, it's like we don't always look for that. Like, for example, when you pray your salat, there doesn't seem to be like any sort of like, you pray your salat, finish your salat, you don't seem to be able to analyze yourself and say, okay, what have I gained from that salat? If I didn't pray that salat, would there be a difference in my life? So some of the things in Islam are very ritualistic, like the wudu that we do. We don't know why we wash our face and our hands and wipe our head and wash our feet. Like we don't 100% know the reason behind it. We can guess, speculate. So there are certain things which are, so one of them is recitation of the Quran was something that the Prophet ﷺ actually told the Sahaba to do, even though they would understand it clearly. But then he also taught them the Quran. So recitation is a very important thing. If you actually watch the hadith series I've done on the 40 hadith regarding the Quran, in the hadith regarding for every letter, I've done a good explanation there on this idea of for every letter you read, the Prophet ﷺ said, you get 10 rewards. Kamran, which Quran tafsir is good? And if you guys want to learn Arabic of the Quran, I've actually got a course. It's called the 17 lessons course. So I've designed this specially over many years. In 17 lessons, you can actually get into understanding the Quran in Arabic on your own. You can get into it. So you won't understand the Quran in 17 lessons. No, that's something out of, I think no one could do that. But in 17 lessons, you will get the tools, you'll start to do it yourself, you'll start to read the Quran, and the Quran is not going to be the same for you after that. Yeah, Alhamdulillah. I mean, many people, currently I think there's probably about 200 students doing it at the moment, or maybe even more than 200 students doing it, online that is. So we have like groups, there's a ladies group, there's a men's group, and you could do it in your own time, in your own pace. So the lessons are sent to you, and you do the homeworks, you send the homeworks, you get your homeworks marked. And yeah, so mashallah, I think yesterday or today we've got 2-3 people finishing the course, completing the course, and some of them from different countries all around, yeah, from Europe, from America, from Africa, from I just had one join from a brother joined from Ghana, yeah, from Ghana he joined about 2-3 days ago. Someone joined from India, someone joined from Indonesia, all different countries, alhamdulillah. So the link is the email there, and inshallah you get details. And the course is £50, by the way. It's £50 for the entire course. Which Quran tafsir is good to read? Any ideas? Yeah, Ma'arif al-Quran. So the one over here, you can see at the top over there. Ma'arif al-Quran. It's a very good one. Muhammad Rahman, what advice would you give to a person who wants to seek knowledge and join a madrasa, but problem is he's got a very terrible memory. He tries his utmost best to avoid sins, yet he cannot grasp ilm. What I would suggest is do it in your own, do study knowledge in your own way. Yeah, study knowledge your own way. Maybe try doing it online. You can learn, but you're going to have to learn according to your ability, the way you're going to do it. And maybe studying in a madrasa might not be good, because they have to keep up at a certain pace, because they have targets to meet. So if you're going to study madrasa, you're going to have to keep up with those targets. And if you feel that, look, I can't do it, it's just going to make you more demotivated. That doesn't mean that you can't learn. It simply just means that your method of learning is going to be different than other people's. Maybe you might need to have a private teacher, study with a private teacher. Maybe you might need to do something more online. It all depends. But I've seen people, I've seen all sorts of people, all sorts of abilities. Madrasa is not for everyone, right? People think you have to go to a madrasa to become a scholar. You don't have to. There's other ways of studying as well. Private studies, online studies, yeah. Salam Ustaji. Can a muhid recite Quran verses from memory, e.g. mulk, before going to bed? A muhid. I don't understand what a muhid is. Can a muhid recite Quran verses from memory, e.g. So if you can tell what muhid is, Kamran, if you peel off dry skin on your lips whilst start to bleed, does the fast no? Fast will not break because of bleeding. Muhammad Shah, Assalamu alaikum Shaykh. Would you like to know if you could do an Ilmul Kalam course? Yes, maybe Ilmul Kalam in the future, maybe. Because Ilmul Kalam is a very sort of like, it's a sort of advanced sort of like topic. So, yes, definitely. I'd be interested in doing that, inshallah. But not at the moment. At the moment, I'm trying to cover the basic sort of like sciences like Arabic, Adab, those kind, to build up people's ability, and then maybe work towards the higher, because the higher science, like Ilm al-Kalam, I believe is a science not everyone can study. It's not everyone's sort of like cup of tea. But I do think that if Ilm al-Kalam is presented in the right way, like these physics shows that you see, like 1 minute physics, and these kind of like philosophy sort of channels, and the way they explain like physics, really complicated things, but they do lots of sort of like illustrations, and they have lots of interviews with people, and lots of sort of like different ways of sort of explaining that information. I think if someone did it really well with Ilm al-Kalam would make a lot of sense, I personally think. And I think the guy who probably is very, very capable of this is someone like Hamza Zotis. So Hamza Zotis, I think, because Ilm al-Kalam, he deals with Ilm al-Kalam when he debates with non-Muslims. A lot of the stuff, like in Divine, his book that, what was it called? I keep forgetting the name of this book now. The Divine Reality. Divine Reality is a book. And a lot of these kind of like arguments in Ilm al-Kalam, classical arguments, a lot of them are irrelevant. There's many things that are irrelevant for our days. But, I mean, knowing them is obviously good for someone who wants to go into that field. Hassan Uddin, can females say out loud Ameen in Salah, and how should females correct the Imam if he has done mistakes? Yeah, so a female can say Ameen aloud, but it's not preferred, and a female can correct the Imam. It's fine. Kamran, is there a reward for people who read Quran with the transliteration? Yes, definitely. Anything to do with the Quran is reward in there. Yeah, anything at all. Memorizing it, reading it, understanding it, studying it, teaching it. All. And if you've gone through the 40 hadith lectures that I've been putting up, in one of them I actually explained this about the Quran. I think it was the one I did yesterday. It was yesterday, or the day before yesterday. I explained about, actually the first lesson. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. So it's all these sciences that fall under it. White Elephant, what's up, brother? Sorry I'm late. These are awesome streams. Thank you very much, my Christian friend from the US. How's your day been so far? Zaid Malik, could you explain the issue of a follow muqtadi performing an act before the Imam? As in, not sure what you mean. As in, if he performs it before the Imam. Rex Noble, thank you, brother. What you are doing is amazing. Many blessings to you. Thank you very much, Noble GM. May Allah bless you. Yahya, I have this book called Nafhatul Arab by Muhammad Ezaz Ali. Just curious on what's your review, thoughts on. Yes, it's a very good book. I've actually gone through this book. It's a very good book, but the only thing is I would say it's a type of genre. It's one genre. So like this, there are many genres of Arabic out there. So for example, like you have This is the Nafhatul Arab, Nafhatul Yemen. These are whole genre. They're like classical stories, and there's like a big collection of Khizanatul Adab is like a massive collection. I think it's about 15 to 20 volumes, where it's just got loads and loads and loads of like different literature, historic literature in Arabic. But the book that you mentioned is a good book. But if you want to become proficient in Arabic adab, you have to read lots of different types of literature. Like you got to start reading Arabic newspapers. You got to start reading magazines. You got to start reading, things like novels. You got to start reading like modern poetry. Then you got to read like classical poetry, and then you got to read like books that are written on more sort of like romantic works, more works that were to do with sort of like poems that were around Jahiliyyah, pre-Islamic, Islamic, Christian poetry, Arabic Christian poetry, Arabic Jewish poetry. All these kind of things, they increase your understanding of the whole sort of like plethora of Arabic out there. Usually in a madrasa, a person only studies about 3 or 4 books, and they fail to realize that these 3 or 4 books are simply a drop in the ocean that you're supposed to be studying. So after you qualify, you should start reading all sorts of Arabic. Okay, Mina, this person is my uncle brother of my dad, and my dad asked me for this, and now even my father not helping me out hurt me by this behavior. I'm not talking to my father at all, but it feels wrong. I'm lost. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, all I can say is I pray for you. May Allah make it easy for you. Make dua to Allah. In the month of Ramadan as well, people's hearts become softened. So these are kind of issues, unfortunately, that happen in families. And, these are something that maybe, I don't know, going up to him, speaking to your uncle. And obviously, not speaking with our parents is something that Islamically is wrong. So you have to make up with your father. Even if your father has said something that has hurt you, at the end of the day, showing respect to your parents is a very important thing. White Elephant, what is the Muslim take on war? My church teaches that you can go to war to defend religion, freedom, peace and families. Yes, the same in Islam. So Islamically, the whole idea of war is that if there is oppression taking place anywhere in the world, then Muslims can step in and intervene. Like the Muslim army can step in and intervene. So just like, for example, the West nowadays feels they have this obligation to step in wherever they see around the world any sort of like human rights being usurped, that they feel that they can step in and they can just start a war. This is a Western understanding as well, or they see there's no democracy, they want to put democracy there or whatever. So Islamically, obviously there's limits on that. There's laws that God has told us who you can't attack, who you can attack. Sorry to hear that. London, I am undergoing an eye operation next week. I will need to wear an eye patch. Wudu with water or tayammum, or is it wudu with water on parts of my body and wipe the eye patch? Yes, that's right. So you do wudu for the rest of your body, and the eye patch, if you can touch it, you just wipe over it with a wet hand. Just wipe. And if you can't touch it because it's too fragile, then don't touch it. Just leave it. Then it's fine. May Allah give you shifa. Muhammad Shah, Jazakallah khair. While if my dad has been good so far, I got a lot of schoolwork to do, but I believe I can get it done. Alhamdulillah. I hope your day has been good. Thank you very much. So inshallah, I'm going to finish there, guys. Jazakallah khair. What do you guys think of the podcast? Check out the podcast, a new podcast that we have started. It's with myself, with brother Altaf, and with brother Naveed. It's a podcast that we're thinking of doing throughout Ramadan, Mondays and Thursdays. It starts around about 10:40ish, about that time. Lasts for about an hour or so. And we try and discuss topics maybe you guys are interested in. So let me know, inshallah, what you guys think of these podcasts, because if it's something which is interesting, then it's worth a while maybe continuing after Ramadan. And if it's not really kind of beneficial for you guys, or you don't feel it's something which is going to be beneficial, then we can knock you on the head and maybe focus on something else. So yeah, let me know, inshallah, what you guys think on that. And the main reason actually we're doing is, one, a lot of you guys were asking, can you do podcasts? So those of you guys who were asking me, can you do podcasts? So here's your gift, podcast. And the second is that a lot of times people sort of like want to hear a more sort of mellowed down, sort of easy to listen to topics, rather than having to listen to only Islamic lectures. So one is like you only hear Islamic lectures which are very formal, and this time you can hear something which is quite informal, more relaxed, and also it's topics which you can relate to as well. That's the idea. This is kind of controversial, so please don't take offense, but how do you feel about Al Jazeera? Many people in the US, including me, don't like it since it publicizes terrorists destroying things. I mean, we agree to disagree, I think. I think a lot of people in the West are shown a certain image of Muslim countries. The media, I think in the West, especially I think in America, is shown, media is deliberately showing a certain image of Muslims, and unfortunately it's a very biased. It makes Muslims overall seem as though they are like Trump. He's the biggest, I think, he's the biggest terrorist supporter. I mean, US and in the UK, the majority of people who have been caught for terrorist activities are unfortunately the Caucasian, supreme right wing supreme terrorists, I think. So I think I disagree with what you're saying about Al Jazeera. I think it's just purely a Western media, indoctrinating people's minds, manipulating people's minds, and making them think as though they are the supreme holders of justice, and unfortunately everyone else, especially Muslims, are just out there to kill them. And so I think that's sad. Wa alaikum assalam, Umar Sheikh. Love your hadith series. Jazakallah khair, Umar. White Elephant, thanks for your stream. Keep them up. I will appreciate it. Thank you very much, White Elephant. S. Hussein, yes, I agree about the podcast. It's quite refreshing to hear something different and entertaining. Yes, Jazakallah khair, S. Hussein. Thank you very much. S. Hussein, you like all the videos. There is no video I think you don't like. Yahya, Jazakallah khair. This was beneficial. It's rare to see students of Noor Ulama be active on social media and spread their knowledge to the global ummah. Much love, Sheikh. You're welcome, Yahya. You're welcome. Remember your du'as, inshallah. White Elephant, oh man, I like Trump, but I still love you, and I hope you know that. Yes, that's why I said to you, we agree to disagree. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Anyway, Jazakallah khair, guys. I will see you guys next time, and it was nice having a nice chat with you guys, a Friday chat. Hopefully we can continue this in Ramadan. I don't know, after Ramadan might not be able to continue it, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see inshallah how it goes. So everyone, take care inshallah, and keep an eye out for the hadith series. Keep an eye out for the Liyaqa 2.0 and for other series as well inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.